All right, guys, so in today's video, we're gonna look at different ways of training the Panantukan, the Kali or Filipino dirty boxing, if you will, on the focus mitts. There's a couple ways to train this. We tend to train like we're training combat sport, right? That's why I even have the gloves on. We kind of dance around a little bit like if we were training someone for boxing or kickboxing match or MMA match. You could train this in different contexts. You can train it to change the environment, all kinds of things, change the platform, but generally we train it like we're training our kickboxing. There's a couple of characteristics in Panantukan that we want to emphasize, or that we tend to emphasize in our pad work, okay? One is, of course, we work the Western boxing format, we work the Western boxing techniques, but we also like to hit out of both leads, whether we're doing the follow-up out of a different lead or whether we manipulate our opponent to hit in that different lead. And that's very common in the Panantukan, and in our training, we look to incorporate that in the pad work. Another element that we tend to utilize and tend to focus on is using this backhand motion. When we say backhand, we don't mean back of hand. We mean from our weaponry when we say forehand to backhand or inward to backhand. This backhand motion could be my whole forearm, could be my hammer fist, could be a hacking, could even be my elbow if I want, but it's that motion that we use to then set up our follow-ups, right? And again, we're gonna focus on punches. These follow-ups could be palm strikes, these follow-ups could be elbows, you can use hammer fists, all kinds of tools. But generally what we do is we usually use our punching as part of our follow-up. Okay, so first what we're gonna do are some drills just to get warmed up hitting in both leads. Now in Panantukan, even though we say it's boxing, we use all tools. We use elbows, we use knees, we use all types of kicks. Again, the context dictates what we can use. So some of the techniques might be more sport oriented, some are more self-defense oriented. But in this one, what we're gonna do first that I like to use at my school is we use a low line attack to set up the hands. And then what we do is we use the other leg to set up the lead switch. So it looks something like this. Very simply, I could be kicking the groin here and then stepping into a 3-punch follow-up. I'm just doing a cross hook cross. When Chris steps back, I follow with my rear kick to the groin, but then I'm gonna follow up in the right lead. So that's the basic concept. We can do this with all kinds of kicks. Maybe I stomp, and then I go into my punches, right? Here, we can also change the punch combinations, right? So however I lead off with that kick, maybe it's a side kick, I can go cross to the face, hook to the body, cross to the face. Maybe I kick the groin that way, cross, uppercut, cross. So we can mix the combos once we have the format down. Another one that we use is we hit with 3 punches now, no kicks in this one, and then we push our opponent, right? This gets into the concept of manipulating the opponent to set up hits and set off the off balance and set up hitting out of a different lead. So quite simply what we do, Chris will have that same sort of 90 degrees, so I can go cross, hook, cross, or straight punch, hook, punch, straight punch. I'm gonna now push with that hand. You see the lead switch here. Now I'm in the southpaw stance going cross, hook, cross again, okay? And then we do this up and down the mat. But then what will happen is sometimes we'll have Chris push me back so that I'm used to settling back, see, into my other lead and hit from there. He pushes, and then I hit 1, 2, 3. Now I'll go forward again, just for the sake of the camera so you can see it. So this is a nice, easy drill to get both sides working. And then once we have that, again, we can change our combos, right? And you can use different tools, use elbows, use hammer fists. Okay, so now another drill before we get into like techniques and stuff and counters, these are just warm-up drills, is that concept of using this motion, right? Which we can't use in Western boxing or a lot of kickboxing arts, where I can hammer fist here, right? Or again, that could be a hack into the throat, could be a palm, could be just my forearm, setting me up for my punch combination. So again, really simply, the way we do this is if he gives me that 90-degree hold, okay, instead of like a jab, which is really common, I'm just gonna back fist with my right hand, or my front hand rather, my lead hand, then I come back with my 3 punches. Okay, then yeah, to get the both sides working, now I step in and I back fist here, 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. If he steps back again, hammer fist, okay, on and on and on. Since we go this direction, then we just change the combos. So maybe I go back fist, I go cross, then maybe I go uppercut cross. I load this up, back fist here, or backhand I should say, cross and body hook cross, and then on and on and on. So that's one of our drills, again, to get used to generating that backhand strike, that angle into our follow. Okay, then the last sort of drill here that we're gonna do, again, we use trapping quite a bit in Panantukan, just like in other arts like JKD, but other systems that immobilize the limb to move it out of the way, and you can pull it, hammer it down, what have you. This drill is just gonna simply be, we call it a wedge, trap, and backhand. Wedge, trap, and backhand. So it gets us into this comfort zone, getting used to hitting that. When he pushes on that, I'm gonna wedge with this hand. I create that reference point. I trap and then I hit with that one. So again, for the sake of the camera here, usually we'll just go maybe sometimes 5 steps, just like that, up and down the mat. So just getting us used to this. Notice that what's important here is that he's giving me that push there, that reference. So I wedge, create that barrier, trap, and step into it. So now I'm getting in this habit of this, boom, and stepping powerfully into the backhand strike. Okay, so let's get into some counters here, some counter sets that we train quite a bit. This first one is basically what we might call a tight cover, right? Or they might call it taming, a shield, however you want to look at it. It's a little bit farther range. It's one of your most practical types of defense against a punch to your head. I'm basically grabbing the back of my head here. This hand could support, it could stay up ideally, or it could even be jamming up the other hand. So, and again, like most of the time we train, like I said, like we're fighting, right? Like combat sport. So we start with usually a jab. This could be anything though. This could be a low jab, could be a left hook, could be a kick. But for basics, we start with him throwing the jab, which I just catch to kind of back off a little bit. When he throws that wide right, I'm just grabbing the back of my head. But what that does is sets me up for that powerful inward strike, okay, with my hammer fist. So we go 1, 2, and then we just put it on the pad. Now he gives me that target for my back fist like we did in those earlier warm-ups, and then we'll just go into a 3-punch combo, and then yeah, we could go with a low line attack, could be a kick, could be a knee. So one more time, we go here, this is 1, this is our tight cover, inward backhand, and then follow with whatever tools you want, and then finish on the low line. Against the left hook, what we do is we end up switching the base. So again, there's one of those principles that we like to use. There's my inward, but I'm stepping strong into that backhand strike, and now I'm in the southpaw stance. And then we can go into kick or knee. Let's switch angles here real quick. So this is against the jab, the left hook, bomb, then I go inward, backhand, and then I'm followed up in the southpaw stance, boom, kick, or knee, or whatever range they step out of. So this is like one of our basic sets to get used to, A, covering, right, defending, but then also using these weaponry motions on the pads. We'll do it one more time. Jab, right, tight cover, I go inward backhand, then I go follow up, bang. Okay, if we go jab, left hook, 2, see I'm going hammer fist, back fist. That strike could be anywhere on the body. That inward could be on the bridge of the nose, on the carotid, across the cheekbone, could even be his other hand, all right, his other arm. So that's our first set. Tight cover, inward, backhand is what we call it. Okay, our next set that we do is very similar, but now this time we sink the elbow in. So you might call the first one taming. Taming is shield. We tend to use them both, right? We use it for both techniques. But this is called a sock, they sometimes say, right? But what it is a spearing elbow. So now I'm not just covering against that punch, but I'm driving my elbow into my opponent. So what my partner needs to now have the coordination to do is to put that pad inside his shoulder, right? So when he jabs, we start with that jab, you can see how I crash in, right? My elbow is hitting the center of that pad. Now what we do is we turn him out. And then we can go into our follow. I like that hammer fist from that position, because if I'm moving the head here, I can set it up. But again, this could be any follow-up you want. Here, we'll move over a little bit more. So we're going here. This is 1, 2. I step in, I push the head. For training though, I gotta let go of my partner, right? So that we're safe. If you're really advanced, you can kind of change that timing a little bit. One more time. This is called taming or karsak. See, I push them out here like that. 1, 2, 3, over and down, and then you can go with the low line. The other part of this then is we call it double taming, right, or double karsak, where I hit with the other elbow and then move him into the right lead. So he goes here, 1, I go 2, boom, but I hit with that right elbow. This will go across the face and I push, and now we're in that left lead follow. One more time. Here, this is 1, 2, I push, and then left lead, any kind of follow if you want. So this is our taming series, we call it, or karsak series. We do the same thing against the left hook. Jab, buries that pass. See this one? This is going to turn and change his lead now. Okay? If I do 2, the backhand dictates the lead. So because I'm kind of using my backhand in this case to push his jaw, I stay in the left lead and follow up. So this is very common in the paddler. Most of this is what I've learned from Andy Wilson, Rick Fayette, MKG, this style of symmetrical hitting and working out of both leads. Okay, so this is what we call our, again, this is our taming or karsak. We do both sides, we're getting a hit out of both leads. Okay, let's look at one more technique here. This is we call the Seiko elbow destruction. What we're doing is basically, as our partner's throwing a straight punch, we're putting it into the elbow. Okay, could be a very damaging technique. You have to be very careful training this. The way I like to do it on the pads though, is I like to have the holder slant the pad upward just a little bit. So not straight that way, because you can hurt the fingers really bad. But enough where he can punch at my face and I can make contact with my elbow, okay? So this series, again, you end up with basically 4 different permutations, okay? So the first one would be off his jab, where I Seiko that and I back fist. So there's that, again, that backhand or back fist, backhand motion into the follow-up. Okay, again, this is single, I go, then I follow up. Now when he's a jab cross, I'm going to parry with my right hand, but now I'm killing it with the right elbow and I step into the lead switch. Okay, so again, these are consistent things that we try to train quite a bit. 1, 2, 3. See, I step down and then I follow up with my right lead. And again, you can go with the low line finish if you want. You can do anything, really. Now we get into the trapping part though. So when he feeds that jab and I kill it, now that represents his hand, not his face anymore. His hand's pushing on it. I wedge trap just like that last drill we did. Or not last drill, but the drill we did earlier where we were wedge trapping into the other lead. One more time. So I kill the jab, I back fist, here, bang, and then 1, 2, 3, follow up, okay? Then the last one is off the cross. So when I kill this, see, I run into that rear hand there, then I have to trap again one more time, back into the left lead. This can turn out a few different ways, just depending on the energy of my partner. Sometimes what happens on this is when I go here, I'm already stepping, and he's pushing, so I'm gonna have to step again to do the trapping part, okay? But sometimes it's so quick that we don't even get to step. I just go here, here, and I'm already back to my left lead. So it can go a couple ways, just as long as you're getting what we call this second hand response. He's going to push on that. I wedge trap, and then I go back in, okay? So these are our standard drills, and then when you get comfortable with them, you can, again, change the follow-ups, you can change the initial stimulus, you can do all kinds of things with these. But this is what we like to start with to train our panatukan. All right, guys, so I hope you liked that. I hope that gave you some good ideas on how to train panatukan on the focus mitts. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of other things that we do, but these are some good starting points with some good fundamentals that we like to incorporate. As always, start slow, okay? Take your time, don't go too hard, too fast. You gotta be careful with some of these techniques, right? Be precise first and then slowly improve or increase the speed and the pressure. So don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Look out for our next video as we go over some more of these drills. We also got a free course down below on exactly this technique, the taming or karsak or the spear elbow. So I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care.